Thank you so much.
I'll be speaking to the going away students, and I'll try to annoy the parents in the room as little as possible. So there's this gentleman who knocks on his son's door. Jamie, wake up, you have to go to school. Jamie says, Pa, I don't want to go to school. Why not? 3 reasons. It's so dull. Number 2, the kids tease me. And number 3, I hate school. So dad goes, I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you must go to school. Number 1, it's your duty. Number 2, you're 45 years old. And number 3, you're the headmaster. So stories like this, they try to disrupt our thinking patterns in order to teach us something important. And this one teaches us a tragedy in our society. A lot of us, many of us, are numb, uninspired, and sleepwalking through life. It's an imminent danger for your future. The dominant frame that kids, young adults, look at the world through is TikTok. And it has 2 effects. Number 1, we're desensitized. We love dopamine. Our brains love it. But when we get too much of it, we detach from the world. Like an overwatered plant, we're unhealthy. And the other one is we constantly compare ourselves to others, and we have low self-worth. Desensitization, low self-worth, they kill fascination, they kill passion, and they keep us sleepwalking through life. It's no wonder then that since 2010, mental illness among college students has more than doubled. Anorexia, anxiety, depression, all more than doubled. How can we expect our young adults to be our future leaders? We need to come alive. Now, how do we turn this tragedy into triumph? My take is the answer is right in front of us, but it's not what you think. Let's have Howard Thurman explain it to us. Howard Thurman, in case you don't know, was a thought leader whose approach of radical nonviolence influenced a whole generation of civil rights activists, including Martin Luther King. And he said this: don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive, because what the world needs is people who have come alive. Makes sense, right? What makes you come alive? So you are embarking on a journey right now, and it's about to begin, and this is your chance to come alive. And there's somebody else exactly 60 years ago that also went on a journey. It was Yvon Chouinard who, with his community in his early 20s, forged the best climbing equipment in the world. And when the weather conditions were right, he lived in California, he would go out into Yosemite National Park to go rock climbing. But he had an issue. He had a struggle. As a young businessman, as an idealist, he saw how businesses can also damage and destroy the ecosystems that he loved. But you need to support your life, right? So he was in a dilemma. And then his friend Doug convinced him to go on a 18,000-mile road trip from California along the Pan American Highway all the way to Patagonia. It was the trip of a lifetime. They climbed Mount Fitzroy, where nature was still untouched. And it really had a course-setting effect on Yvon's life. Now, for a banker, a CEO, a manager, it might be easy to forecast how Yvon's story ends. The life of an idealist, of an adventurer, of an environmentalist, never making ends meet. What if I told you that Yvon Chouinard founded the most significant outdoor apparel brand in the world, called Patagonia? There's probably around 10 people in the room who are wearing Patagonia right now. And this company is a credible thought leader in how business can thrive while protecting our ecosystems. How rare is that, even in today's world, 60 years later? Think about it. Now, Yvonne's story is there to teach us something. What is it to teach us? There's 3 steps to coming alive. Step number 1 is don't go out and do the traditional, the conventional path. Yvonne went out. He threw himself into situations, into an experience of self-discovery where he experienced friction with the world to find his values. He then came back, that's step number 2, he came back knowing in his bones his mission. And then number 3, he found the means, the strategies, the allies in order to fulfill his mission, to answer the question if business and environment can be together, coexist. And I hope the next story will drive this point home. It's the 23rd of July, 1993, and the doors of the Children's Hospital in Munich, Hauna Children's Hospital, flung open. ER staff and nurses frantically discussing the concerning state of a baby boy. If you read the report from that day, it says 3.5 years old, noticeable paleness, eyelid edemas, inflated abdomen. If you're tensing up right now, just imagine being the father of the child. A young doctor who with shaking hands was conducting the first diagnosis that revealed that the boy, his boy, had stage 3 lymphatic cancer. The doctors said to him, my dad, we can't do anything for you or for your child. And yet I'm here in front of you today. And the reason I'm telling you this story is if you're a parent and your child has made it here, it's a modern miracle. In 1900 in the US, 18 out of 100 children did not make it past the age of 5 years old. So it's a miracle. But what do you do with this miracle? Go out into the world and do something, but how? If your vision is to simply follow the conventional path, you can do that. But you can make a difference, like Yvonne, if you start experiencing the world. When asked what books to read, Yvonne simply answered, there's no alternative to just going there. Leadership can't be learned by reading. So again, step number 1 is the experience out there. Step number 2 is finding your values and your mission. And step number 3 is to find the means to then fulfill that mission. My rebirth that day did not come as a given. It was granted to me. But to come here was not because of my conventional career path. In fact, none of it was conventional. My father sold the house that I grew up in order to pay for my international education, maybe not too dissimilar from you. But it was not my teachers in Wales who made the difference. It was saying no to a cigarette and knowing that I will never be part of the cool kids. It was feeling the disappointment of 3 games in a row, 3 rugby games failed, and still having trust in my team. And then a year later, I was working for the Walt Disney Company in Florida. But it was not the frame of that work. It was not the environment that made the difference, or my bosses. It was standing up for a marginalized coworker. And it was coping with the environment of the US, that alien environment that felt so different from back home. And then I enrolled in university, and again, it wasn't my professors that made a difference for me. In fact, I remember none of them. Not a single one. It was working 2 jobs next to university in order to find my mission and fund my life. It was hitchhiking through Serbia during summer break while my peers were partying in Paris. That's what made the difference. Now, important, don't think I'm telling you not to do your studies. It's important. This is a privilege. Your parents have made tremendous efforts for you to be here. But let's be very honest. It's the university frame filled with mistakes, hundreds of them, micro decisions. Those give you endless opportunities to reflect, who do I want to be? Right? Who do I want to be? And then you follow that. Who do I want to be when I return? What values do I want to remember? Okay, you know the 3 steps to coming alive. That's what I call it. So let's talk about the first one. Yvon Chouinard of Patagonia, he said one important thing. I'm going to quote him. Climbing Everest is the ultimate and the opposite. You get all these high-powered people who pay $80,000 and they have Sherpas who put the ladders in place, and when they get to camp in the evening, they don't even have to roll out their sleeping mat. It's already rolled out for them with a little chocolate mint on top. The whole point of climbing Everest is to attain some type of spiritual or physical gain. But if you compromise the journey, if you compromise the process, you set out as an a-hole and you come back as an a-hole. End quote. So think about it. How do you want to come back? Now, you remember the first step of coming alive? Finding your values? Maybe as a final act today, I want to maybe together think about how you find yours. When you set out on your international experience, think about how you want to treat that adventure. Do you want to treat it as Mount Everest? Going out there far away, but really still in the middle of your comfort zone, never having to make a difficult decision? Or do you want to treat it like Yvonne's adventure, going out there, outside of your comfort zone, making mistakes, breaking the rules, failing fast, and shaping your character through exposure? It's your choice. You have either choice. As David Foster Wallace said, that is the freedom of real education. You get to consciously decide what has meaning and what doesn't. This is how you come alive. So your first step to coming alive is finding your values. As you set out there, every time you get triggered, every time something happens that you don't like, something that somebody does or says, write it down. What that does is it activates emotion. And if there's an emotional response, there's a personal value. And then, as you take them down, you discover a theme. Maybe you value integrity. Maybe you value community, kindness, authenticity. There's probably about 5 values, your core values, that are dear to you. That's how you discover them. And then when you have your values, those are your guide, you follow your fascination. Fascination, that feeling of butterflies, of curiosity. You already know the feeling, you just have to connect to it. So maybe we can do that now. Think of something, imagine something that really is dear to you, attached to one of your core values. Hold on to that, and then follow it. And don't care what other people say. Follow that feeling. It's your most potent guide to coming alive. The way I see it is you're setting out on this adventure, on this opportunity to discover yourself and your place in the world. So my question to you is, how will you come back? To summarize the most important points, go out there outside of your comfort zone and shape your character. And then see how that character reminds you every day, over and over, to come alive. Thank you so much.